Hi everyone, my name is Terry and I work at the Mukwonago Community Library. I'm sure you have seen me there. If you haven't, hello and welcome. We're going to be doing our Zentangle Untangle class digitally for a little while, obviously, since we can't all be together. But hopefully the world will right itself very soon and we'll be starting class up again. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do, or how the class usually works, is I have 2 to 3 patterns depending on how complicated they are, and I'll walk you through step by step how to actually to complete the drawing, because sometimes when you look at a pattern you're like, how is that going to work? So I break it down step by step, beginning to end, and then you can manipulate or change the drawing however you want. You can add to it, you can put it in different places, you can do different things with it. So you might be able to take a pattern and make it into a border, or take a border and make it into a pattern that you'll use to fill a section on your Zentangle design. So I encourage you to use pen. If you don't feel so confident, you can use a pencil, but I always encourage you to use pen, because the point of Zentangle or Zen doodling is to be free, to let your mind just clear itself, to be calm, to just work with the pen and the paper and just let your designs happen. Don't think too much about it, just kind of follow the steps. If you need to pause the video, obviously you can certainly do that. If you need to rewind or you want to try again, that's great too. I hope to do a video every week, so there'll be a new drawing. I don't know that it will be 3 every time, but there will be new drawings for you every week, so please check back. I'm obviously in my house, as you can see, so I have to do it when my kids are either in bed or outside, which they are right now. And I got this new toy that holds my phone, this new tripod that holds my phone, so I'll be able to take overhead shots of what I'm drawing. So this is just the intro, just wanted to let you know. I'm not going to have these intros every time, but just wanted to say that I hope you're all staying healthy and not going insane, and being kind to those you are trapped with for a little while. So hopefully we'll see you very soon. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do, see, I have my pen. This is just a standard pen, it's nothing fancy. If you have any kind of illustration markers, you can certainly use those, or a favorite pen that you want to use. You can certainly do that. If you prefer to use pencil, that's fine too. So usually in class, we start out with a square, but you can do whatever size, whatever shape you'd like. It doesn't have to be a square. You're just going to go ahead and draw. Don't make it too large, because whatever size you start with, you have to fill that whole entire space while you're practicing. So like a 2" by 2" square is all you need. And then after you draw your square, again, it doesn't have to be perfectly straight. I don't care, I'm not going to judge your work. You're going to basically break it off into a grid. So you're just going to go draw your horizontal lines. Kind of keep them the same size. Mine might not be completely straight across. I'm kind of drawing behind the camera, so it's a little strange right now. So you're going to have your lines going across. See how I have this wonky bottom section here? That doesn't matter, because that's what you're going to have in Zendoodle anyway. You're going to have kind of odd-shaped sections, so that doesn't really matter. So you're going to have your, whatever spacing you used between your horizontal lines, you're also going to use that between your vertical lines. So just go down through your space. And you want to always try to have 3 full rows and 3 full columns. If you have more, that's fine. If you have less, you can't really see the full effect of the pattern. So you want to try and get it so you have at least 3. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4 technically. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have more than enough. So this one actually is what I call a quad design. So what it's going to use is it's going to use 4 squares per pattern or per section. You don't have to draw it that way, but that's kind of just how it makes the pattern. So in this section here, where I'm just going to work on this top corner here, I'm going to draw an X right through. And if you can't draw an X straight through, like if this square is not the same size as this one, just stop at the middle point here and then draw your square. Try to make it as straight as you can, and then go ahead and draw it the other direction as well. And you can go ahead and do that in all of the quadrants if you'd like, or you can just work section by section, so it doesn't matter to me. So go ahead and fill those in. Again, Zendoodle is all about connecting with the pen, taking your time, not stressing over the fact that your lines are not straight, or that you have kind of an odd shape, or that this column is a little bit fatter than this one. It doesn't matter. So here we have looks kind of like a quilt with these weird wonky sides. So we'll get to that part later. So we're just going to start working up in this top section here. And this pattern is actually really easy. It's just going to be triangles that are inside. We're going to draw triangles inside each section. We're going to go the same direction just because it's a little bit easier, so you can always turn your paper. So when you draw this one, you're going to start at the point, the center point here. You're going to leave a little bit of a space, come up, and then go over as straight as you can, and then come back to the center point. If you prefer to turn your paper to draw that, that's fine. And then you're just going to keep doing that until you fill this entire section. Make sure you always come back to that point. See how when you do that, it makes this part really kind of heavy and black, but this part out here is a little bit lighter. So that's the kind of effect that you want. So I'm going to turn my paper a little bit, and then I'm going to start the same. So I'm going to start on the center point here, go out, and these lines don't touch. They just kind of trace or outline the center section. Try to keep your spacing the same if you can, all the way through. Sometimes they're a little bit, like I said, you know, some of the sections are a little bit uneven. And I'm going to turn my paper again. The more time you take to do your lines, the straighter everything will be. Mine's a little bit off because, again, I don't have I'm not holding my body right because of this way that the camera is. Just do your best. And then once you get the pattern down, that's the time when you just want to be still, you want to be quiet. You kind of just want to think about what you're drawing and kind of forget about everything else. See how this nice pattern, it makes a really dark center. And you're not even coloring anything in, it just does it all on its own. So I'm just going to keep doing all the way with this quadrant and then go on to the next one. Oops, that one's not straight. See? No big deal. Just have one that's a little off there. And just keep going to the next one. You can kind of see how I'm drawing. I draw my line up and then back, but for me, for my hand to go this way, I don't get a very crisp line. So I stop here and I go towards the top, or I come up to the bottom. I don't like to do just doop doop doop. It doesn't work for my hand. So it just depends on how. And if you prefer to work right to left, that's fine too. There's no wrong. So then we did this first quadrant here. Now we're going to go back and do, we're going to go around, just keep working. I'm going to go across this whole row, and then I'm going to show you what we do with this end section here so we can get that filled in. I hope you like my bird music. This is usually what we listen to in class. It's just very peaceful. It's very nice. Right now it's nighttime, so there aren't any birds singing outside, but you can just imagine that they're here. And Zendoodling is for any age. I mean, some of the patterns are a little bit more complicated, like some of the weaving patterns perhaps would be require a little bit more assistance for a young child, but they certainly can do it. In the class, we've had families with children that were as young as 6 years old. I have a regular Zendoodler. She is actually in 3rd grade, so she comes with her mom quite often, and she does a very good job. And again, there's no judging in the class or anything like that, so if she doesn't like our pattern or she wants to add her own fun little twist to it, she certainly does that, and it looks really great. So this section I'm going to use a different color marker here just to show you what I mean. When you have a Zen doodle, whenever you do a pattern, you have to imagine that this square, the very first square that you drew, is just basically a snapshot of a larger pattern that's behind it. So imagine that we've taken this paper and we've cut out a window and we could move it around anywhere on the pattern and all we would see is what's inside this square. So you have to imagine that, I don't know if you can see this, you have to imagine that your lines continue out here beyond the marker's a little dry, and that there's more rows, there's more columns, and that sort of thing. So we're not going to fill any of that in, but that's what you have to imagine is there. So I'm going to do kind of like some dashed lines so you can see what I mean. So we're going to start from this same section. You're going to draw your line, but I'm going to stop here because I imagine that it's going to go back to my center. And the same with this one. You're going to kind of draw your line from this point here to this point here. But you're only going to have a solid line inside this box. Out here, it's just going to be your dash line. And you don't have to draw any of this. This is just what you have to visualize. If you're not very good at visualizing, or you're just not, this is your first time Zen doodling, you certainly can draw this on the side and just practice with that. So then you're going to imagine that you're drawing your lines, same from here. So you draw, I'm just going to draw them in solid, just so you can see. And you're only going to see a little teeny tiny snippet of that one. The rest of the lines in there you won't see. So it's just this little teeny tiny triangle. That's all the bigger that this section will accommodate. So I'm going to turn it a little bit more. This one's a little bit, this one will have more things in it. So we're coming off from the point, and then we're going to have a solid line, go straight up, and imagine that we're coming straight back to the center. Do that again. Another little section here. And then you won't see this middle one, because this middle one would be cut off. So is that starting to make sense? So you have to start in your center. Solid line here, because that's inside the box that we're working in, this box here. And then it will come back to the center. And imagine you'd start out again. So this one you'd probably just see the top makes kind of just a little thick line like that. Does that make sense? We're not going to fill the rest of these in because obviously, oh, we have one little corner here. One little triangle because that's where the lines would go for that one. So does that make sense? Alright, so then you can go through and you can fill in the rest of your sections here. And again, when you get down to this bottom section, you're going to imagine that these lines continue on this way. so now I'm to these sections here where I don't have full squares. So I'm going to do the same thing up here where I kind of visualize that I had, you know, an extension of those sections. I'm not going to draw all the rest of the lines in, so I can kind of just show you what it will look like. But that's what you're going to be doing in this section. You have to kind of just think of the pattern that you've drawn in all the other sections and kind of repeat that, imagining that it goes all the way back to the beginning here. It is a little difficult to do at first, especially if you're not used to it. Like this one here doesn't quite line up with these red marks, but nobody will know that but you. So for these now this is what the full pattern looks like. Again, these don't exactly line up, but nobody will know that but you. You're not going to see too much of this black section on these because you can't quite see these center points over here. So don't worry about what that kind of looks like over there. You can then alter this design where you can make it be very small little rows and columns. This is going to be a really, really tight, tiny, itty-bitty design. But could look really neat, so I'll just draw one for you. Let you see what it looks like. You might not be able to fit 3, but you could have 2. Really teeny tiny. This might be a little too small up there because that center one just kind of looks all black, so it's kind of small. Might be a little too tiny, but if that's what you need to fill the space that you have, you certainly can go ahead and do that. Or you can make very large rows and columns. Let's do some large, keep going all over. See how mine are not straight now? So this it's because I'm just messing around. You can draw them very large. You can draw the spaces really small, and then you would just fill it in with more triangles. So here's the 3 that we did over here, but we obviously need more to fill up this section here. And you just keep going. So you would have, again, I didn't draw this very straight on the side. You get the idea. You can make your lines really tight together, and you can have maybe 8 of them in there, who knows. Or you can leave them a little bit further apart if you want more white or light pattern. So something like that. I'll give you the same exact design, it's just going to be smaller versus large versus medium sized. Alright, so we're going to do one more design for today. I'm going to teach you actually how to draw a border. So this one, I'm going to draw it, it's probably not going to be straight because it's just not going to. I don't always draw straight, I kind of draw in an arch, so we'll see how well I can do it. So just on the same paper or another section, or if you have a smaller piece of scrap paper, just get another piece of paper Then you're going to draw 2 lines, not too far apart, maybe ½ inch or so, just to kind of get yourself started. 2 lines across your section. Again, they don't have to be completely straight, but you do want them to be parallel. And what you're going to do is you're going to draw, not all the way to the top. The scallop is not going to go all the way to the top. Just start on one side. Don't go all the way to the end. Kind of start in a little bit, and I'll show you why in just a second. You're going to draw a good-sized arch here, and then keep going all the way through. They don't have to be 100% exactly the same, but if you have a little OCD, you certainly can take even more time and make certain that they are exactly the same shape. Again, I don't want you to use a ruler or any kind of a straight edge, or in this case, any kind of a scallop or curved edge. Just let it free, let it flow, let it happen. So as you can see here, I got to where my end of my border would be. Now this could continue off the page, or you can kind of just stop it right there or go all the way down and finish one last loop. It's up to you. I'm just going to pretend mine cuts here so that you can kind of see that, again, imagine this is where it would finish, but there's something else over here, another design or pattern, and this scallop would end right here. So then we're going to go back to the beginning and do exactly the same thing over here, because you see my lines here, this is kind of where my edge will be. I'm going to draw a scallop going the other way, and when I get to the end of my lines, I'm going to stop. So that's kind of how the pattern works. If just like it did up here, it's going to stop inside the box, because that's the only part of my design that I'm going to see. The same would be the case on any border or anything else that you do. Of course, you can finish this again and go to a full scallop on one side, have it next to something straight so it has something to dye into. That's fine too. Or you can actually use this as a border perhaps around what you've drawn, etc. and so forth. So this one is just a standard parallel line one that we're going to do. So the next step for this one is to kind of go up to the top point here, and you're going to start along the line a little bit, and then you're going to come short and you're going to leave like a gap here, kind of create another section on each side of the loop. It doesn't matter to me if you do it on the right or the left, but be consistent. So mine are all on the right side. So you are going to start at the top, kind of come down a little bit. See this one here I kind of missed, and you can see that little blunder there, which is no big deal, but if you kind of come along your line a little bit, it helps to minimize that sort of action. So this one here, we're not going to see too much of that because it goes off on the side. And this one over here, we're not going to see the top because I can't quite see the middle point of that scallop. So that's the kind of design that you want there. Then you're going to go through and you're going to put horizontal lines. They can be close together, they can be a little further apart. Again, you just want to be consistent. And as you get to the top, the line is going to still go across. It's not going to arch with the line, it's just going to go straight horizontally across. Whatever spacing you use, you want to try and keep that consistent. You're going to fill in all of these little sections that you just drew with your horizontal lines. The slower you go, obviously, the straighter it will be. I don't know what to go through. And this one here, I'm only going to see a little bit of that one, so that's all that we need for that section. So now we're going to draw the design that's inside, and I thought for spring we could just kind of do some little like plants coming up. So you can draw whatever you'd like in here. You can have little people, you can make this, this looks to be something else like a bunch of teeth, you could draw whatever you want in there. So it depends on how you see what pattern this is, but we're just going to do a standard kind of like springy border. So I'm going to draw kind of a upside down teardrop shape, and then right off of that same point I'm going to draw another one on the right, and then one on the left. So I'm going to have that kind of shape. I'm going to skip one because I'm going to do a little bit smaller one in the next one. So I'm going to kind of keep my same size in every other one. But you can do whatever. If you want them all to be the same, that's totally up to you. If you want to do a flower or... Oops, I just touched my ink. Oops. This is not my usual pen that I use, so the ink isn't quite dry, so be careful of that. A little bit small, because my section's a little small. So this one here I'm going to draw a little bit tinier, just because not everything grows at exactly the same same rate outside, so I'm going to have a little bit different size. Just like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up in this little section. I don't really like this little white section. You can draw whatever you want there. You can leave that alone. But I'm going to kind of do a little upside down. Well, it's not upside down, I guess. Just a triangle. And I'm going to kind of fill it in like that. Just a really quick, sketchy type of color in. Not anything perfect. There's going to be some little white sections. This would be a place where you could add color if you like to color your designs in. You could add a red, which is a complementary color. Let's say you color these green, or an orange to a blue, or whatever it is that you want to do. There isn't anything wrong with keeping those sections white. I just don't prefer it. So this is we're almost done with this one. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to add the extra detail to the bottom section. I'm going to try and be as parallel as I can. Mine's not super wonderful at the moment, but you can have it be thick, you can have it be skinny, you can add more lines, doesn't matter to me how you do it, but you want to be consistent. So this is kind of the border that you have. You can go through and you can add some shading. Let's see if I can find a pencil that's actually sharpened. Yep, here we go. So whenever you do any kind of shading, you want hold your pencil way out here by the eraser, not all the way up here, because when you do that, you're going to get really dark actual lines. You're going to be able to see the actual lines in there. So you want to hold it way out on the side, kind of have it way back in your palm. So this is kind of along the side of the pencil. I'm sorry, along the side of the paper. So you're going to pick which side you want your shading on. I'm going to kind of do just the center section, or the top line. These are a little thin, and this pencil is not very sharp, but you get the idea. So it's going to be just that top line. There, and I might not put anything at the top, I don't know, it depends on how you want it to look. Nope, I don't like that. So shading is always done in some kind of pencil, so you don't have to add any shading to this at all. You can make these little guys into little cacti, and you can have them be, spiky. And a little flower at the end. So there's all different kinds of things that you can do with them. You can just have one be kind of funny. You can have a guy sleeping next to his horse in one of these little things. You can make a bridge, so you could draw a car up here. Again, these are all optional things. Go for the VW bug here. So you can have it be anything that you want. You can do whatever you want with your designs. Just have a great time. So that's the end of the lesson for today. You can go ahead and continue to draw. You can do different sections. You can try it again. You can color things in, and you can try and alter the design however you wish to make it entirely your own. You can go back and clean up some of the rough edges that you might have. Sometimes coloring it, if you make a big mistake, or you have one that's not quite straight like this one here, just coloring that in might get rid of that. I don't think you can see it, but it's entirely up to you what you want to do. You can also just do one section that's colored in or changed, or where you actually add color with colored pencil. It kind of makes it pop out a little bit more. So you can have just one section colored in and leave all the rest of them blank. So again, make it however you want. It's meant to be something that clears your mind and calms you down. I hope it brought some sort of peace for your day. And we will be posting another video very soon that will have another set of patterns and borders or whatever else we come up with. And hopefully we'll be back in the building again very soon, and then we can actually meet in person. I hope this video finds you all well,